Good morning, good afternoon, sorry, and welcome to this national briefing by the ministers, including all who are responsible for the COVID-19 response. I am Prime Minister Sylveria Jacobs. Today, July 26, 2020. With me, I have the Honorable Minister of VSA, Mr. Richard Ponifleck, the Honorable Minister of Justice, Minister Anna Richardson, and the Honorable Minister of TIAT, Minister Ludmila De Weaver. Also supporting the Minister of Justice is Dr. Raisa Chonkomfat, our resident, our visiting epidemiologist and hardworking frontliner, as we would call it, at CPS. This afternoon, you have already been updated in writing last evening, but I'd like to remind that the Council of Ministers met yesterday initially with the 5 ESF coordinators, 5, 6, 7, 9, and 10, respectively, Justice, Health, Social Development, General Affairs, and TIAT, wherein the COM approved the establishment of the Multidisciplinary Task Force, or COVID-19 Multidisciplinary Task Force. This task force, comprising of the above-mentioned coordinators, are the ones that would be monitoring and evaluating and advising government as a collective group. So even as they remain completely responsible to report to their ministers, in this way, if necessary for government to take decisions, they would then have a collective advice from the group dealing with COVID-19 on the ground level. I would like to take this time also to commend the hard work, the diligent work, the tireless work that has been going on since February. And of course, even before that, with the general health and collective prevention services that are carried out on a yearly basis, especially with our schools and with babies, etc. And I would like to say that CPS has been working overtime, has been doing an excellent job despite their small numbers. As a Council of Ministers, we have also approved that they would be able to have some assistance, and hopefully early this week, this will be realized so that some of the hard-working professionals can have a bit of a break or at least assistance. As we have been noting over the past few days, the rise in the COVID positive cases has been a concern for government and the population of St. Martin and has had our attention from the get-go. The Ministry of each minister will be briefing on their specific area. The Ministry of General Affairs, mainly right now in terms of the legal affairs support for any type of decision making that would require such. We have had the approval over the weekend of the ministerial regulation for the COVID-19 multidisciplinary task force. This task force will be chaired by the Ministry of General Affairs, but of course, also involved with this team will be the fire department with the enforcement teams that will come out of this. They will be also executing coordinated controls of all establishments to be able to ensure that all measures are being upheld, all protocols are being upheld, or all of these will face the necessary consequences. You will hear more about this from our ministers, the related ministers. As Minister of General Affairs, I would like to clarify that no, the EOC has not been reactivated. I think there has been some confusion where that is concerned. The Council of Ministers remain collectively responsible, and as chair of the Council of Ministers, we have started having our emergency meetings as well. So we will be keeping the general public abreast, but I would like to reiterate that we would like to remain open. We would like to remain, especially having all our key services open. We did publish our economic reopening plan, and the last phase included many of the establishments that we are now facing some challenges with. So these are the establishments that will be feeling the impact firstly in terms of heightened protocols, heightened measures, and even scaling back of certain things that may have gotten out of hand or have gotten out of hand, whereby now we can see a very striking rise in the positive cases. As such, I would now like to pass the floor to our Minister of VSA, Public Health, represented here today in the person of our Minister Richard Panafleck. Minister Panafleck, you have the floor.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Prime Minister, colleagues, Minister, members of the media, members of the community who are listening to this address via radio or viewing on television, good afternoon. Today, July 26th at 12 o'clock, medical doctor for infectious disease control and epidemiologist Dr. Raisa Chong Kong Fat informed me that Samarta has received a new record of 114 confirmed coronavirus cases. We are now 36 active cases that are being monitored closely by the Center of Preventive Services, CPS, with the support of our local medical professionals. Naturally, the rapid spike in active COVID-19 cases over the past 5 days has the full attention of my ministry and the government of St. Martin in general. When we as a community face challenges, the government and its citizens must combine our efforts to combat these challenges, and we have seen no more significant problem than COVID-19. This virus has reduced economic activity around the world and caused significant loss of life even here at home on our island. Despite the challenges, we continue to balance our citizens' financial well-being with the need to protect the health and well-being of everyone. Balancing economic activity with the health of our people will at times mean making unpopular decisions, but the health and safety of our citizens must come first. As such, I have instructed the ministry to reintroduce strict social measures to reduce the spread of COVID-19 and flatten the curve. The ministry is finalizing a law that will make it mandatory for people to wear masks in public places and practice social distancing. Failure to comply with the law will result in the offenders being penalized. The use of face masks in public areas must be strictly monitored as well. Businesses, to ensure they have sanitation measures in place, must do so if you wish to continue to operate. There is no room for relaxation, as the situation cannot be allowed to grow out of control. There can be no question of severe nature of this situation. Since we have started the fight against COVID-19, 15 persons have died. Our medical professionals have been working tirelessly, and thanks to their effort, 63 confirmed cases have been recovered. But we are not where we near the end of 170 people are still being quarantined as we speak, and CPS is doing more tests and contact tracing. These tests will likely result in a number of active cases days. People will be able to isolate the active cases and keep the rest of the community safe. But testing is not going to be enough. Everyone has to do their part and practice social distancing and washing your hands regularly using soap and water. If you have to sanitize, use sanitizers that contain at least 17% alcohol and avoid large crowds as much as possible. We will continue to update our COVID-19 dashboard to keep the community informed and reduce the dissemination of inaccurate information. If you feel you have contracted the virus or you are experiencing flu-like symptoms, please remain at home and contact your family doctor immediately. If you have any questions or concerns, you can call CPS at emergency number 914. Again, I must stress that you continue to use face masks in public areas and practice social distancing. Thank you, and may God continue to protect us all.
Thank you very much, Minister. I would now like to ask Dr. Raisa Chongkomfat, our epidemiologist at CPS, to update more specifically as to in terms of the cases, etc., and where we stand as government at the moment. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Chonkomfat. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister. Good afternoon to the public of St. Martin. Further to the Honorable Minister of ESA's remarks, we would like to provide some more information on the numbers. So since the 1st of July, we have seen an increase in the number of cases that has dramatically increased in the last week. The first case was in the first week of July, a second case on the 14th of July, 2 cases on the 20th of July, 13 cases reported between the 22nd and the 23rd of July, and 20 cases reported between the 24th of July to this morning. From CPS, we are actively investigating all cases of COVID-19. This is called source and contact tracing. We contact the persons to try to identify the source of the COVID-19 infection. Currently, we have identified a few clusters. So a cluster refers to cases that are thought to be linked to each other. So this means a group of people with COVID-19 that, for instance, live in the same area, work at the same place, or went to the same event. We are actively monitoring the clusters that we have currently identified in order to contain the spread of COVID-19. We would like to state, though, that based on the increase in cases over the past few days, it is evident that we have local transmission of COVID-19 on St. Martin. From our perspective, what is currently unfolding on St. Martin is quite likely the start of a second wave of COVID-19 infections. It is unknown how the coming days will unfold. So far, it seems likely to be greater than what we experienced during the beginning of the epidemic in March due to the dramatic increase of cases within a short period of time. We can influence how high the second wave will be. So what I mean is how high this increase will be in the number of cases. We ask the public of St. Martin to keep to the safety guidelines that are in place so we can keep the increase of cases as small as possible. It is important that everyone understands that COVID-19 is serious and remains an ongoing risk. It is also imperative to understand that all measures that we start putting in now can take up to 2 to 3 weeks to see the effect of it in the number of cases. This is why we again urgently ask all persons to adhere to the prevention measures that are in place and to follow our advice when we place you in isolation or quarantine. All persons that have been in close contact with a person with COVID-19 infection are placed in quarantine. The quarantine period is 14 days. And this 14-day period is based on how long it can take for a person to develop symptoms if they have been exposed to COVID-19. We know that this is 14 days for the COVID-19. Again, I would like to remind the public that it is therefore imperative that you stay home for the whole 14 days to further contain the spread. I would also like to take the opportunity to reiterate the importance of strictly following the prevention measures. Keep yourself safe by washing your hands often in water and soap. If you need to cough or sneeze, please do so in your elbow or a tissue. Keep at least 2 meters of distance between you and all other persons, and wear a mask if you're going into public places where social distancing cannot be maintained. If you're experiencing flu-like symptoms, so a runny nose, a cough, a sore throat, or fever, please stay home and call your family doctor. I know it seems like we've said this many times before, but COVID-19 mainly spreads through close contact within 2 meters distance. And if we don't keep the social distance of 2 meters, then we can get infected with COVID-19. As the current evidence shows, when the measures of social distancing are breached, this leads to an increase in cases. CPS is continuously monitoring the situation with COVID-19, as we have been since the start of the pandemic. We will continue to provide the public with information on how to keep yourself safe from being infected with COVID-19. For anyone that has questions or concerns about COVID-19, please call us, CPS, at 914. We must do everything we can to mitigate the spread of COVID-19 on St. Martin. We all have the responsibility to protect ourselves, our family, and our community. Thank you very much for your attention. Have a good day, and remember to stay safe, strong, and united.
Thank you very, very much, Dr. Raisa Chonkomfat, for the very strong message and the encouragement, though yes, and I can reiterate, we have been here before and we proved that we could shut it down by that behavior. So I am really asking the people to really follow what the medical professionals are saying. I would now like to invite our Minister of Justice, Minister Anna Richardson, to address you.
A pleasant good afternoon to you, Prime Minister, colleague ministers, doctor, CPS, and all those tuned in. According to the Police Kingdom Act, the Minister of Justice is responsible and accountable for both the public order and assistance task that well all for the justice task of police. Pursuant to Article 1 of the General Police Ordinance, everyone must adhere to during extraordinary circumstances and must obey to the regulations established by the Minister of Justice in the interest of public order, peace, and security. In this regard, I as Minister of Justice, in close consultation with the police force and the public prosecutor, announces the following. On the 11th of March, the World Health Organization declared that the coronavirus is a global pandemic. Based on this declaration, the government of St. Martin took fast and effective measures to prevent the virus from spreading on a national level. By stepping up its risk management and implementing and strict enforcement of specific preventative measures, the strict social distancing rule of 6 feet away from one another, the government was able to curb or even halt the spreading of the coronavirus within a few months. Recently, it has become apparent that the risk of infection with the coronavirus is still present on St. Martin and has also become a great concern. At the same time, it is observed that the public has become a bit less disciplined in keeping with aforementioned 6 feet social distancing rule. For maintaining public order and safety, as well as safeguarding the health of the people of St. Martin in this extraordinary circumstance, it is therefore decided that government inspectors and police officers must put a stop to all public and private events and gatherings if the social distancing rule of 6 feet away from one another is not adhered to. Also, everyone, such as individuals, shop owners, restaurant owners, entrepreneurs, must strictly follow and comply with all measures taken by the competent authorities to prevent, limit, or combat the risk of coronavirus to public safety. These precautionary and mitigating measures of the government are an effort to help mitigate the spread of the virus. The inspectors and police officers will strictly enforce these measures. All instructions issued by the police for executing and enforcing these measures should therefore be strictly and immediately respected. Non-compliance with these measures will be considered a violation of the General Police Ordinance and the Penal Code. The community is encouraged to stay informed, practice good hygiene, be aware, be prepared. As a community, we are in this together. We have to help each other by staying alert and disciplined and continue to slow the spread of COVID-19 by being responsible together and for each other. Thank you for the time, and I'm asking everyone to please stay safe.
Thank you very much, Minister Richardson, for the update from the Justice Ministry. I would now like to invite Minister of TIAT, the Honorable Ludmila De Wever. You have the floor.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Just checking that I'm unmuted. Good afternoon, Prime Minister, colleague ministers, Dr. Raisa, listening and viewing public. Considering the recent spike in cases, as previously indicated by the Prime Minister, Dr. Raisa, Viesa, and Justice Ministers, we will start to scale back on our de-escalation measures, specifically the economic activity in Phase 4 of our reopening plan involving businesses with large gatherings, such as market vending, bars, nightclubs, dance clubs, and any other entertainment businesses. At this point, we are asking all the mentioned businesses to strengthen their operational plans on how they will maintain social distancing and other recommended protocols or required protocols, such as wearing a mask, requiring hand sanitizing, and overall maintaining a clean and sterile environment. The cooperation and compliance from all businesses are essential to business continuity and to ensuring our safety. As long as we can contain the virus, economic activity can continue. In collaboration with the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of TEAT will assist in controls and inspections of businesses to ensure that these operational plans are carried out. I encourage the public to follow the guidelines and adhere to the protocols in place by the various establishments and make every effort to make these guidelines part of your daily life in order to protect yourself, your family, and the community. As crucial as continued business activity is to our livelihood and our economy, conducting business in a healthy and safe manner continues to be our top priority. For this reason, I would like to reiterate that we continue to mitigate the spread of the virus and heeding the advice of the medical professionals and continue to do our part. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister DeWeaver, Minister Richardson, Dr. Raisa Chonkomfat, and Minister Panafleck. As a team, we will continue to update the general public of St. Martin if needed on a daily basis, as I believe the public have a right to get the information needed directly from the sources, and especially as this is a medical health pandemic, to ensure that we always have a health professional that will be disseminating such information. I understand that there are many questions still, but as soon as certain information is ready to be divulged to the public, it will be. I must reiterate here today that I'm quite disappointed that persons see fit to divulge confidential information to the general public at a time that is premature, while government is still doing what it needs to do in terms of contacting these people. The public health laws do specify clearly what confidentiality needs to be maintained, and that we noted was a serious problem the first time around with getting people to come forward. Now that we know how this virus behaves, we have to change how we behave. We went down to 0 confirmed cases, and that is confirmed because we never know unless someone actually comes forward. And that kept resounding not only on the ground and on social media, but also from our medical professionals. So our getting laid back or complacent is what has led us to this point, not just the individuals, but I can also say government, as we also allowed for persons to be, I believe, what you can say, too many in a location, which is clearly stipulated as one of the mandatory guidelines in our economic reopening plan. All businesses must have proper sanitization. All businesses must ensure that their employees are protected and have facilities to do so, and that the clients can make use of the service in a safe manner. But at the end of the day, the responsibility lies with us, individuals, when we go to an establishment that is not set up in a way that we can be safe. That is then the choice we make. All our essential services have been upholding the protocols well, but the inspectors that have joined together and will be carrying out the enforcement team inspections will be even stricter than before. Where you may have received a warning, now you will immediately be fined because these are now standard operating procedures. This is not to harass anyone, and as Minister of TEAT said, we would like to encourage economic development, but not at the expense of the public's health. That remains our #1 priority. Many have been saying, please don't shut down, please don't shut down. And that is the goal of this government. We do not want to shut down this island economically. But to do that, we need you. We are a faithful, strong, and resilient people. And we, yes, I said we, collectively have to control our own movements and our behavior when out in the community. The virus needs a host, a human being, to be able to jump from one person to the next. Ensure that you are protecting yourself and by extension, your family by your behavior and your movements. This virus will remain a challenge around the world, and you can see the fluidity with which it increased on St. Martin and other places in the world that thought they were clean, how quickly that can go from 0 to 60, as they say, in 3.5. And in this case, it was literally in 3 days. Our behavior will determine how quickly it is squashed as well. as Dr. Chonkamfat said. And we've had a bit of experience with this. Do we need to shut down in order to learn our lessons again? No, but we do need to adjust our behavior if we were of the opinion that it was gone, so we could go about hugging, kissing, and laughing with people, talking to people up in their faces. And of course, when you're out and you're drinking, you're going to be a little less conscious of the health aspects. So, am I saying don't do anything? No, but I'm saying do everything in moderation, and the businesses ensure that all of the regulations are in place. Especially closed establishments being crowded will have serious problems and will run the risk of being shut down. And I am serious about this. We really do not want to jeopardize jobs and income, but we must maintain proper measures so that our people can be safe. Our vigilance, consistent good hygiene behavior, maintaining proper social distancing, and respecting others will help us squash this faster, decrease the rate at which it increases until it stops, and then we can say we are safer again. However, our behavior must never change. I want to thank you, each and every one of you, for tuning in to this broadcast. I would like to ask you to remain on the real news, because really easily social media can pick up a rumor that will fly. Be careful with information that you receive that is confidential, because if you are found to be spreading confidential information, you will be held liable for such, and all of these will be enforced. Too many times people have said anything goes on St. Martin. Well, I would like to say this. We are a upstanding community, and we will be enforcing the laws even more strictly, the regulations even more strictly, to ensure our people's safety and that the viability of our businesses can continue, so that no one would suffer any more than what is necessary in these tough times. Thank you for your attention. Please stay tuned to more briefings from your government. And until next time, I am Prime Minister Silveria Jacobs, and this has been the Council of Ministers National Briefing on COVID-19 for today, July 26th, 2020. Have a blessed day, St. Martin.